APS professional Asif Darvish arrives at the home of Ethel Gibbs to investigate suspicion of financial exploitation.
Hello?
Good morning. My name is Asif Darwish.
What do you want?
I'm Asif Darwish. I'm a social worker with the county. I'm here to see Miss Ethel Gibbs. Are they available?
What do you want with her?
Well, due to our confidentiality policy, sir, I can only discuss that with Miss Gibbs. Are you related to her?
Ethel Gibbs is my mother.
Oh, may I ask your name?
Not sure if the answer to that's a no. What do you want?
Well, sir, I'd just like to know who I'm speaking with so I can address you appropriately.
David? Who's that at the door?
You must be David. Is it okay to call you David, or do you prefer something else?
I prefer you go away.
Do you live here?
Look, man, where I live is none of your business. You ask a lot of questions without answering any. Like, why are you here? What do you want with my mother?
David?
We received some information that someone's concerned about her, so I'm just here to check in on Miss Gibbs and make sure she's okay.
Concerns? Concerned about what? My mother is fine.
Well, yes, sir, that may be the case, but I'll need to see that with my own eyes. May I come in?
No, you may not. You can't just show up unannounced. Don't you need to make an appointment or something?
Sir, I acknowledge that it may seem intrusive, but our program is designed that way for good reason. Not here to cause any trouble. Just here to assess Miss Gibbs' safety and offer any resources or services that she may need.
We don't need any resources or services. I take good care of my mother. I'm telling you, she is fine.
David, is there a reason you don't want me to see your mother?
No. There's no reason. I don't need a reason. Look, I don't know who called or why. I take good care of my mother.
And I'm not making any accusations or suggesting that you don't. However, when we receive a report of concern, by law, we must assess the person's safety. I'll need to meet with her briefly and allow her to choose whether or not to receive our services. I'm sure you and I want the same thing. What's best for your mother?
Well, she's unavailable right now.
Okay. Do you know when she will be available? I can always come back at a better time.
Her schedule's pretty full. I'd have to get back to you on that.
David, I can't just go away and never come back. State law requires that I see Miss Gibbs. If you won't allow me to do that, then I'll have no choice but to contact law enforcement to facilitate my visit with her.
Really? You're gonna call the cops?
That's an option. But I'd really rather not have to do that. Especially if, like you're saying, your mom's okay. I simply need a few minutes to speak with her, see what her wishes are regarding services.
David, I've been calling you. What's going on? Who's calling the cops?
It's nobody, Mom. Nobody's calling the cops. Go back and sit down.
Well, it certainly appears to be someone.
Hello? Are you Miss Ethel Gibbs?
I'm Mrs. Ethel Gibbs.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Gibbs, I'm Asif Darwish. I'm a social worker. May I come in?
Social worker. Well, what's this all about?
I can explain everything, but I think we would all be a lot more comfortable if I could come inside, speak to you privately. Just be a few minutes.
Okay. Come on in.
Thank you. Where would you like us to sit and chat, Mrs. Gibbs?
You can sit right here.
Okay. So, Mrs. Gibbs, David, I do need to speak with your mother privately. Would you mind, stepping outside?
Hey, man, anything that you have to say to her, you can say in front of me. Right, Mom?
Really, it's okay. He can stay.
Mrs. Gibbs, it's really important that I speak to you privately, without any interference. How about this? Would you be willing to give me 5 minutes in private to explain why I'm here? And if after that you still want David in on the conversation, we can do that.
David, would you mind stepping outside just for a few minutes?
Is there anyone else in the house with us, Mrs. Gibbs?
No.
Well, hey, thanks again for agreeing to speak with me today.
Now tell me what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm about to get to that, but I wanted to first ask you, do you feel safe here in your home with David?
Safe? With David? Yeah, I'm okay. He's just a little
overprotective of me, that's all.
Just seems like you really didn't want me to speak with you in person. I'm concerned he seems a little controlling towards you. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about that.
Questions? Now, what kind of questions? Look, just tell me why you're here before he comes back in.
Okay, Mrs. Gibbs. I'll get right to the point. I work for Adult Protective Services.
Adult protective services? What kind of services? Protection from who?
Yes, ma'am. We investigate allegations of abuse against older adults and adults with disabilities. Try to help people live more safely and independently.
I'm not being abused.
I hear you, but there are different kinds of abuse. Some that don't leave any physical signs. Abuse can look different for different people. It could be happening to you and you might not even realize it. But others may see something and become concerned. So we come out to see if those concerns are valid, and if they are, just offer any support or resources that might be helpful.
So, how did you know to come see me?
Well, we get calls from people in the community when they're concerned about a person. It could be a friend, neighbor, medical professional, a complete stranger, literally anyone. Some people are mandated reporters, like medical providers, first responders, meaning that they're required by law to report suspected abuse.
So someone called you about me? Well, who could that be?
Well, unfortunately, we can't tell you who called, but we can tell you why they called.
Wow, okay, why did they call you?
Yes, ma'am, I'm about to get to that, but I want to let you know the conversation we're about to have might be a little uncomfortable, and some of the questions I need to ask you may be a bit personal. These questions are part of the assessment that we do to try to figure out how you're doing in different areas of functioning in your life, like social support, healthcare, finances. That sound okay?
I guess.
Okay. You have the right not to answer anything, and you don't even need to speak to me right now if you don't want to. But that being said, if you're ever uncomfortable or don't want to answer any questions, just let me know. We can make other arrangements or simply move on.
Yeah, I get it. You about to get all up in my business.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But please do know we value your privacy and protect your information.
Okay, can we please just get on with it before David come back in?
Of course. We received a report of suspected financial abuse.
What?
It's been a concern about a suspicious financial transaction. Have you tried to make any unusual financial transactions lately?
Whoa now. I'm not about to discuss my money with just anyone, especially someone I only met 5 minutes ago.
It's totally understandable, Mrs. Gibbs. I don't like sharing my financial information with anyone either.
Then why ask about it?
Well, we ask these questions because financial abuse is a serious concern for older adults, and one of the most common allegations that we see. Sometimes it's through scams and sometimes it's thefts, but sometimes it's by a trusted friend or family member who's trying to put pressure on a person to provide money or gain access to an account. Our goal is to make sure your finances are safe and protected from others who might be trying to get their hands on it. That's why we respond to these reports. That's why we ask these questions.
Okay. Now, I appreciate what you're saying here, but I still don't feel comfortable talking about my financial affairs with you, especially with my son around. Now, I know he stepped outside, but what I don't know is if he's still listening.
I understand. If we found a different way to talk, would that make you feel more comfortable?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Well, look, I'm happy to accommodate whatever works best for you, so maybe we can schedule a time for me to call. Or we can meet someplace away from the home. Or I can come back when David's not around. What do you think?
Maybe that would be better if you could come back. Can you come back?
Yes. Yes.
I can call you and let you know when David's not going to be home. That would be better.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that then. You let me know when David's not around and I'll come. It's important to me that you feel safe during these discussions, Mrs. Gibbs. If at any time you need to talk to me, please feel free to reach out. You have my business card. And if I don't pick up, please do leave a message, because I will call you back.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Mrs. Gibbs. I'll be in touch. Have a good rest of your day, David.
Hey, Mom, I'm out. I'll see you Thursday. While I'm gone, maybe you can make another run at the bank. Try to get me that money.
Hello, this is Asif Darwish.
Asif, hi. It's Ethel Gibbs.
Mrs. Gibbs, yes. Is everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Is now a good time to talk?
Absolutely. Where's David?
David's gone for a few days, and I thought we could schedule a time for you to drop by the house.
Absolutely. When's a good time to meet? Let's pick it up right from where we left off. We were about to discuss a recent financial transaction.
Yes, well, I went to the bank to try to withdraw some money, but the bank was completely uncooperative.
Uncooperative in what way?
They wouldn't give me the money.
They tell you why they wouldn't give you the money?
They just said it was too much.
How much were you trying to withdraw?
Oh, well,
Look, I know talking to me about your finances can be uncomfortable, but let me reassure you, we value your privacy and confidentiality. Adult Protective Services staff will never ask you for your PIN or any other information to try to gain access to your accounts. We don't share your financial information with anyone.
anyone?
Well, the only exception would be in the case of cross-reporting elder abuse to law enforcement. If you have questions about elder abuse laws or reporting obligations, please let me know. In any event, we take financial privacy very seriously.
It was $10,000.
Okay. Thanks for telling me. That seems like a large amount of money. Can I ask what you were planning to do with it?
That's just what the bank kept asking.
What'd you tell them?
Well, I certainly couldn't tell them the truth.
What's the truth, Mrs. Gibbs?
When my husband passed away, I got paid out on a life insurance policy. David is constantly hounding me about giving him some of that money. Oh, I'm so sick of him. I was hoping if I gave him some money, he would use it to move out.
Sounds stressful for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did David come to learn about the money?
No, it was no big secret. David moved back into the house while his father was sick, and I'm sure the subject of the policy came up more than once.
Does David have access to your bank account?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. So, let me make sure I understand this correctly. You tried to take money out to give to David, but the bank wouldn't give you the money?
No, they did not. They said they needed to confirm a few things first and asked if I can come back in a few days. They kept asking why I wanted the money, but I wouldn't tell them. 'Cause it's none of their business. It's my money. Why should I have to tell them what I want to use my money for?
I'm sure they were just looking out for your safety.
When I got back home, though, oh, David was livid. He started yelling and cussing and telling me I've always been a bad mother, accusing me of not wanting to help him. I guess we spoiled David growing up. I mean, he's always been a problem child, but I never seen him that way. It scared me. I don't know why he wanted the money so bad, but his reaction didn't make me feel good. Whatever he's into, I don't want it around me or in my house.
What kinds of things do you think he's into?
I couldn't possibly tell you. It's like this trip that he's on. It just sort of came up all of a sudden. I mean, not that I don't appreciate a break from David, but it concerns me a little.
Yeah. I'm really sorry he's doing this to you. Has he threatened you with physical harm in any way?
No, he is not, and I think he knows better. But he did call me out my name. Basically threw a tantrum like a toddler. I love my son, but I'm getting too old to keep taking care of him and cleaning up his messes. I want him gone, but I know he ain't got nowhere to go. I'm scared I'll feel guilty if I throw him out.
Mrs. Gibbs, peace of mind goes a long way. Doesn't seem like a very safe situation for you to have David here with you. I mean, what sounds to me like intimidation and emotionally abusive behavior towards you may meet the standard for elder abuse under the law. Sounds like he's causing you emotional turmoil and trauma.
Yes, he is.
I'd like to support your decision not to give the money to David. I have some resources for you to consider. How do you feel about that?
It feels good just to finally be able to say out loud what I've been feeling. Seems that since his father passed away, All I've been doing is bailing him out.
I'm really glad to hear you say it feels good to say that out loud. Given the recent passing of your husband and the struggles you seem to be having with David, you think you could benefit from some therapy or grief counseling?
Maybe. It's still hard for me to talk about it. We were married for 35 years. Yeah, I can look into it.
Okay. I'm glad you'll consider it. I'll make sure to get you a list of counseling resources.
Thank you.
Now, I did want to support you with some other decisions. If you're serious about wanting David to leave, I can connect you with some services. Would you be willing to consider eviction?
Have him evicted from his home?
I can understand that you might have some conflicted or difficult feelings about this, but you have the right to feel safe in your own home, Mrs. Gibbs. There are advocates available that can educate you on the process and walk you through this whole thing. Do I have your permission to make that referral for you?
I guess so.
Okay. Now, another option to consider is a restraining order. Court may grant you one based on David's behavior towards you.
That sounds so harsh. I mean, I would still like to see my son. I just don't want him living here with me.
I hear you, but I want you to be aware of all your options, that's all. If you have any reservations about deciding that David can no longer live here, then that may be something you want to speak to a therapist about. Maybe they can help you process your feelings about that.
Maybe so. Thank you. I'm starting to feel more hopeful about this whole situation.
I'm glad to hear that. It does seem like a considerable sum of money that you received. If you'd like, I can direct you to some financial resources to help you manage it.
Oh no, that won't be necessary. I can handle that on my own.
Okay, Mrs. Gibbs. Well, any other resources or services I can help connect you with?
No, I think what you've done already is helpful enough. I am glad that I was able to talk to you about this. I'm feeling much more supported now to make some much needed changes around here.
Good. Well, I'm happy to be of service. I'll refer you to someone about that eviction process, and they should be able to reach out pretty soon. I sincerely hope everything works out the way you want it to, Mrs. Gibbs. But if you do need to get a hold of me, you have my number, so please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. The last thing I wanted to ask you was that if in any case you feel unsafe around here with David, or if he tries to threaten you, would you be willing to call 911?
Oh, goodness. I hope it don't come to that. But yes, I can dial 911. Will all this cause some sort of trouble for David?
It could, if he harms you or if he steals money from you, but we're really trying to prevent that from happening. But do remember that I am required to report elder abuse to law enforcement. But in any case, Mrs. Gibbs, I want you to know that APS is here for you if and when you need it. Please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. I do need to get a couple more details from you, then I'll probably be on my way.
I'm Mrs. Ethel Gibbs.
I'm Asif Darwish. I'm a social worker.
I take good care of my mother.